Dump from Hurrdat Sports with Andrew Rogers and Damon Benning.
The extension of Coffee and Cream in the Morning on Hail Varsity Radio. This is Morning Dump alongside Damon Benning. I'm Andrew Rogers. We are at Hail Varsity Club, the best place to enjoy all things sports. And if you come to Hail Varsity Club, make sure you sign up for a Hail Varsity subscription. And what that gets you are perks here at the restaurant. So you get that. You get the top news coming out of Lincoln. It's the best. You can use that promo code AR for monthly, yearly for DB. We had a great first show. We thank you for joining us there, and we hope that you're here with us now.
Yeah, we love perks. It's all about perks.
DB is the perk of every show.
Perk, like percolating, like coffee?
Like Percules. You can be Percules.
Percules.
Hey, you know, there were a lot of people that were really excited about the hiring of Matt Rhule, but then, you know, as we kind of dove down the rabbit hole that Twitter presents us with, you fall into some tweets, maybe from whether it's past players or, you know, really fanatic fans, and they don't like the hiring of Matt Rhule. And specifically, it's because he had zero success at the NFL level. It really is what it boils down to. People bring up the ranked teams conversation, and I just think that should be disregarded altogether. Look, he lost 7 of those 16 games in his first year with both programs. Mm-hmm. So, discount that. I know he only had 2 ranked wins in total, and so if you match it up, it would be, 2-9 at that point? But still, he didn't have enough time to get over the hump. He's a rebuilder/builder of programs. Yeah. And when you start from the bottom, when you start with, just a piece of wood, it doesn't become a house overnight. And so once he builds the house, he left. And so once you have that solid foundation, that house to live under, he didn't have enough time to really take down some top-notch, big programs, big ranked programs.
Well, I think it's all relative, too. And, I mean, listen, I think it's – first of all, winning is hard. I say that all the time, right? And – the opportunities, given what kind of teams you have, sometimes it's easy to just bottom line the records. But I think sometimes you have to take a look at it in context of what kind of team is taking the field. Like, are they ill-prepared? Are you getting blown out? Do you just look overmatched? I mean, there's lots of things that I think that go into it other than just the wins and losses. Coach Osborne started out, 1-7 against Oklahoma? And so I think sometimes you just have to give it some time. Although the numbers are what they are, I'm a big believer of not just looking at stats in a vacuum. I kind of just like to get inside and see actually how games are played. And
at the end of his tenure at Baylor, if you look at those scores, I mean, he had a 3-point loss to Oklahoma midway through that season and then lost in the Sugar Bowl in overtime to Oklahoma. So it wasn't like he wasn't competing in every one of those games down the stretch. But what were your thoughts on a lot of people on Twitter, specifically former players, at least one former player, talking about how he has a lot of connections with successful NFL coaches, and one in particular rolled his eyes after hearing Matt Rhule's name on the ballot for the next head coach at Nebraska.
Yeah, I think everybody's talking. A lot of people are talking about Scott Shanley. And listen, he's a good friend of mine. I have a ton of respect for him. I used to talk to him weekly in a different life. And so I appreciate the fact that he's got an opinion. And I'm not one of those guys, Drew, down that like other people having opinions that are different than mine or strong opinions don't really move my needle. Now, believe me, I think it's interesting. Like, I definitely want to have some further discussions on why he feels the way that he does. And he's more than open about why he thinks the way that he does. And so I don't think he'll shy away from that. But I would be curious to see, once you peel back the onion, where the impetus is coming from. Is it kind of an NFL thing?
Is it what the peers in the NFL think, or is it maybe is it just that landscape?
But maybe, because you know what I'm curious to see is it's such a tough fraternity to crack. And there have been a lot of college coaches that have not had success at the NFL level. And I still think maybe there's this little fraternity of NFL coaches versus college coaches that want to be NFL coaches. And, Scott is so well connected from his playing days that maybe, some of those guys just don't have the respect, I think, for Coach Rhule when he was trying to make that transition. And that's their vantage point. So, I can definitely respect that. It doesn't mean that it's that linear, and he'll bring that to Lincoln. But I do see where people have enough information that they've gathered, and that's what they know, that's what they're going to express. I always try to judge people on how they treat me, not what other people say about them, and maybe this is one of those cases.
And it's nice to have a differing viewpoint, too. It's refreshing to have those viewpoints out there. If everybody was on the side of the like argument, then you don't have some of those deeper, better discussions when it comes down to kind of nitpicking certain things. But in this case, you're absolutely right when you say, it's a tough fraternity to crack. You get to the NFL, and unless you start winning Super Bowls, unless you start carrying this big name for yourself, how are you supposed to be treated with the big boys? How are you supposed to be looked at as a big boy anymore? So when you go back to college, you look at Matt Rhule. Matt Rhule has been in that fraternity, though, and he's a part of that. Yeah. And because of his successful nature and because of the track record that he brings with him and the stuff on his resume that set him up to rebuild this program at Nebraska the way people want it to be, it's what to be desired, right? Everybody talks about, who are you going to compare yourself to in the Big Ten? What's the pinnacle that you want to reach? And that's the level of Michigan right now. You want to get there. And where does that all start? It starts at the line of scrimmage. You start there. You get some big bodies up front. You get some good blocking. You get your quarterback, whoever it may be, the time that he needs to make plays, and then you surround a really good offensive and defensive line with the playmakers, the guys in the background that can be more of the skill guys that can find their way through maybe some of the flaws of your line. And look, that's Matt Rhule. At least of what we know, until he's there and either does it or doesn't do it, that's going to be decided for the future. But for now, what we know is how well he turned around a program in Temple.
Two
and
programs,
then at Baylor. You see that, and that's all you can base your knowledge off of.
Yeah, and I'll be curious to watch this unfold. Right, I'm going to respect and support whomever's in the power chair, just because that's my alma mater. And so I'll be curious to watch the staff kind of unfold and to see how he puts that together, and then to see his interaction with the young men in the program, because ultimately I think that's going to be the barometer before this thing is all said and done.
Hey, how about last night's performance? We're going to step away from Matt Rhule here real fast because this is something that DB and I talked about a little while ago. I can't remember if it was on Morning Dump or if it was on the precursor to Morning Dump, which was Hot Takes. But we chatted a little bit about the non-signing of
not picking up the fifth-year option of
fifth-year options of Oakland Raiders football players.
Right.
I don't know if I could have gotten there a little bit faster, but we eventually got there. But you look at the performance that Josh Jacobs put together yesterday. He eclipsed 1,000 yards rushing, which is how many years in a row now that he
5
that he got there? Yep, right. All 5 seasons.
Yeah, he's a career 5 yards per carry guy too. So it's funny now that this is coming to fruition after we watched him rush for 2 bills and
does that kind of staple
and send the Seahawks home. But I remember the comment because they had just getting ready to play Kansas City. And one of the guys that I like on Twitter used to work in the sports market, and he does music on one of the stations in Lincoln. He said something to the effect of, he basically was just talking about his playing style. And I responded back, just because I like Jacobs, I responded back. I was like, gosh, I said, he's so underappreciated for what he does. And he and I just kind of went down this rabbit hole of like his statistics.
And you're a big proponent of you like guys that are underappreciated. You really do.
I do.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but it's not. You're not playing favoritism.
Yeah, it's just kind of my thing. Right.
There's a lot of truth to what you're about to say.
And so I just, we were just kind of doing this deep dive, and I know he's a Chiefs fan, and he wasn't hammering Jacobs by any means, but it just got me to kind of think, hey, here's my chance to talk about just how good this guy is. He's top 3 in the league in rushing touchdowns scored since he's been in the league. He was 1,000. He's 1,000 yards everywhere he's been, except for the injury-shortened season that he had. He's almost a 5 yards per carry guy, and he's one of all three of the Raiders' first-round picks from that year that they didn't pick up the option on. And I said then, and I said it now, maybe it's just a Raiders thing. And this was early in the season, right? He just happened to be the guy that I like. But I just watch him run, and I'm thinking to myself, how in the world would you not pick up this guy's fifth-year option? Number one, it's cheap. 2, he's productive. Like, what am I missing?
He's a bell cow. He's a bell cow.
What am I missing?
And, we also talked a little bit about this and the fact that there may be a new wave of how to attack players after they get off of their rookie deals, right? It's like nobody really wants to sign and pay the big money.
Yeah.
It's
especially for running backs.
It's let's go to the draft and just get the next guy.
Yeah.
The Raiders did this before. They did it in, I want to say,
here's our resident Raiders fan, Shane Schillebert.
They did it in about like I'll just throw a year out there. It'd be somewhere around this time. About 1988, they did it with a running back by the name of Marcus Allen. Where
was he good?
He was pretty good. He was doing some pretty good things. Very similar body size. I mean, he was more of a slicer, but when it comes to running than Jacobs is. But
would Marcus Allen be considered a top 5 running back of all time?
No.
I believe I saw, what's his name?
No.
I think Frank from Barstool had him in. Maybe not. I may have been wrong.
He had a few down years in there, and I think
underappreciated, but not top 5.
Yeah,
underappreciated. There you are again.
But nonetheless, it probably is a Raider thing because I think the ownership between the dad and the son, I think they do a lot of the similar things, and I'm seeing it here in these 3 guys that have not had their options picked up.
Now Farrell couldn't play dead. He shouldn't have been the 4th pick overall long. And if you're going to pick a guy from Clemson's defensive line that year, it wouldn't have been him. I did like Abrams, your DB.
Yep, really good.
And he was probably better on Hard Knocks than he was as an actual player. Gruden couldn't calm him down, and he ultimately was just released a couple of weeks ago. Obviously not getting his 5th option picked up, but I mean, Jacobs was different than those guys. Why wouldn't you pick up that option?
Jacobs, too, is not only, as you said, underappreciated for his value, but he's an overcomer. And he's been an overcomer his entire life. And people forget, this is a guy that was homeless growing up. He lived out of his father's car with the rest of his family. Is he the oldest sibling? Do we know that? There are other details to the story I don't know exactly but I want to say he was one of the older ones in his family. So now he's taking on more of a parental role in the livelihood of this family, but he overcame that lifestyle. He got to be successful in high school. He then goes on to Alabama and is overly productive as a running back there.
Sharing, too.
Yeah.
So he didn't have to be the guy. He was happy being a part of something.
And that's where it comes down to the Raiders now and where you can get him at value because he's okay with all of that stuff. When you start at the beginning and you go back to how he grew up lifestyle, he's okay with sharing. Yeah. He's okay with not being the center of attention.
Doesn't need the biggest, the brightest.
No, he doesn't. And why would you move away from that? You know how many teams are going to be chomping at the bits if you don't do anything with him?
So he was.
Why didn't you trade him if you're not going to sign him?
He was forced to bet on himself, and he's going to win.
And he's been betting on himself since day one.
And that was just one of kind of the many overreactions you could have had from yesterday. And another one, but I was trending him this way. I told you we should take every under total prediction for this football team. You got to officially be concerned about Tampa Bay, right?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. You have to be.
They just have not looked good, did not look good doing it, and Brady gets beat by Brissett.
Rashad White was a blessing a little bit in that game. It was much needed to get his presence there. Leonard Fournette.
And probably should be playing more. He's their most explosive. He's their most dynamic. And listen, we saw the Chiefs do it with Pacheco.
Mm-hmm. And running backs' livelihoods just don't last long in the NFL.
And listen, no disrespect to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but sometimes it's just like that.
Is he a draft bust?
Helaire? No, because he hasn't been healthy.
I just don't think
he hasn't been healthy.
He hasn't been in a good system either. The Chiefs don't run the ball.
Yeah, and they could throw it to him a lot more. Mm-hmm. That would be okay. But
and that's what LSU did. So I don't know why they.
But Pacheco is a stud, though.
He is a 7th-round pick too.
Yeah, he's. Well, listen, their front office is one of the best in football. Scouting department has killed it the last 4 years, and so the Chiefs are in kind of a.
It also helps.
They're kind of checkers chess.
When you get the slam dunk of Patrick Mahomes, like when you take your guy in the draft and he turns out to be the best quarterback in football, like that helps a ton.
Another overreaction, or about right? Are you back to believing in the Bengals? As they're on the monitor right now. Do you see them shut down
defensively? I am. Like that defense is awesome.
They typically turn you over too.
Taylor Britt, I mean, what a great hustle play he had in that game to punch that ball.
Rewarded.
I know. I mean, how much does that destroy you, right? You punch that ball away from I don't even know what to call a bull. Like, would you compare Derrick Henry to a bull if he were an animal? Yeah. And you punch that ball away, and then all of a sudden the lamb comes through and picks it up and gets the touchdown after Taylor Britt comes out of the squirrel in this case comes out of nowhere and just knocks it free. I mean, what a tremendous talent he is, for one. But I think I'm back on the Bengals. I wouldn't say they're going back to the Super Bowl by any means, but they're a team that can still make the playoffs for sure.
All in on the Chargers or all out on the Cardinals?
I'm all out on the Cardinals. All out. They shouldn't be 4-8.
Inexplicable loss yesterday.
Are they 4-9 now?
Yeah. They're 4-8.
Are they 4-8?
Yeah.
They should not be 4-8.
And just 1-6 at home. They're going to spend the second half of this season on the road.
They need to spend the second half in general scoring points.
Yeah.
Because this is a team that has the worst second half ATS in football, or one of the worst.
All in or all out on the Ravens?
I'm all in. I think this is a team that,
even with the come-from-behind win from Jacksonville yesterday.
I'm all in. That was a fluke loss, in my opinion, for that team. And this is still what's their record now? What are the Ravens?
7-3.
7-3.
Yeah.
So 7-3, 7-4.
7-4.
Right.
Yeah.
7-4.
7-4.
This is still a team that could potentially host, right? Be a 1 or 2, be like a 2 seed in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be right there with the Dolphins in the AFC for that pecking order.
So I'm still all in on the Ravens.
All in or all out on Dallas being the best team in the NFC?
Out. I'm all out. Yeah.
Eagles guy?
I'm an Eagles guy in this case, but I don't sleep on that Dallas defense. They're the best defense in all of football.
Yeah, they get after you.
They are so well put together.
They definitely get after you. Who's the best team in the NFC West for you? Is it the Niners? I know you like their roster, but they still have Garoppolo.
Gosh, yeah. And it's so early to kind of still attack Trey Lance a little bit and try to get on him because he just hasn't really been anything.
7-4
Seahawks?
Still right now. Was not impressive how they played against the Raiders at home yesterday.
And then the Rams are a no. For sure.
Yeah, they're a mess.
Most impressive team?
You can't. You want to throw Minnesota in there. They're so bad defensively, and Dallas annihilated them.
Well, they're in the North.
Could have been an aberration. I'm talking about in
NFC in general.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We were just on the West. I'd probably say the 49ers in the West, but the Seahawks are close. And then
just back to the general discussion of the best team in the NFC.
And I wouldn't even put the Vikings up there. Their defense is not good.
It's not
good at all. Their offense is great, but as I said this a couple of weeks ago, Justin Jefferson makes Kirk Cousins look a lot better than he is.
We had this conversation, yeah. I forgot you were on that.
And JJ is, to me, I know Tyreek Hill it's up there, and we talked about him, but is the best all-around receiver in the NFL.
Just because you like his size and prowess?
Love everything about him. Love it all.
Let me give you one more. All in or all out on what happens at the quarterback situation with Mike White and Zach Wilson and with the Jets.
I'm all in on Mike White. I'm all out on Zach Wilson.
So apparently Robert Saleh is a good coach. Can we say that? Defensively, they got good pieces. Offensively, they're still kind of a mess.
Defensively is where they win games.
He appears to be a good coach.
Well, you can say the same thing about Daboll.
We know Daboll's a good coach.
Yeah, but again, you can say
another. Hey, listen, how about the dirty college guy that's making it in the pros? Yeah. It's early. I mean, it's just year one for Daboll, but he appears to be pretty good.
Yeah. So
I mean, that Giants team actually looked like they had a pulse, and they were playing with a JV squad on Thanksgiving.
What do you do with Daniel Jones now? What do you do?
I don't know.
We needed to do something.
Yes, we did with Danny Dimes.
I'm assuming you draft somebody, right?
Yeah.
Or do you just sign a veteran?
We simply can't do that.
I don't know. It's so hard to decide on Daniel Jones for me. He's not the answer, though. He just isn't.
Well, he's had time to prove it, right?
And what do you attribute wins for the Giants this year to? You don't attribute it to Daniel Jones.
Kinda. I know a lot of it's Barkley too, but
I also think that defensive line has been awesome for them.
Yeah, that
this
defense
year
has
too.
been much better than I think advertised. Those young pieces have come together early, and they quietly have maybe the best interior. They quietly have the best nose guard in football. So yeah, I mean, that D line is pretty good.
Yeah. So I like that a little all in, all out thing. That you threw my way there, because it's really nice at this point in the season, as we're inching closer to playoffs, to really kind of sit back and reflect on the first 12 weeks and say what's good, what's not. And for me, being a fantasy guy, there have been a lot of good things that you can get matchup related when it comes down to analyzing a player, but fantasy and the actual team itself are completely different animals, and it's all about how they perform on their team opposed to how they perform in your lineup for fantasy. So it's nice to kind of take both different perspectives.
I get you.
Yeah.
How about that?
Good stuff.
Rapid fire.
Yeah, I love it. And normally I'm that guy, but you're that guy today.
Well, I felt like you were in a rhythm, so I just played to your. I was dealing you aces.
Yeah, you did. Ace king, ace queen.
And you were shoving, so I said, let's keep him hot.
And then all of a sudden, I'm going to have one bad take, and there go all my winnings.
Well, you got that out of the way during the show with Cliff Kingsbury.
Pay him his money.
Pay the man his money. Yeah, the whole Cliff. I may be off all day over your Cliff Kingsbury take.
But, it's not even that outrageous. Because I didn't say he's not on the hot seat. I said his hot seat's heating up. So
it's been hot. Have you not looked at his second half swoons in the league?
I know.
You just got on him about their offense and how bad it is. He's supposed to be a guru. Look, and another guy. Are we speaking these coaches' names into existence?
And there
it was
they
the
are.
Bengals. Now there's Robert Saleh.
On TV.
On TV.
They know. Well, they're listening to us.
Oh, good.
That's how it is.
Hey, that's
how
what
it goes.
computers do when we say something out loud. All
Which
of a sudden
is
it's in
crazy.
your Google search.
I was telling my mom what I wanted for Christmas.
Yeah.
The other day, and I want a wallet, but I want one that's really slim, and so it's not fat in my pocket anymore. So there are those Ridge wallets or Stealth wallets. You can get them on Amazon. You can get the cheaper version, or you can get the really expensive.
I don't like
one.
things in my pocket, so I don't know.
Okay, thanks. But I'll keep going.
I'm not a wallet guy.
And no joke, it didn't just pop up on my phone. It popped up on Ashley's phone.
Yeah, see, I'm telling you, man.
There's always somebody listening. Always.
It's kind of creeping me out. Did you ever see Shane? What was the show with Gene Hackman and Will Smith?
Yes, that was, and it was actually
Enemy Minds.
Yeah.
No,
Yep, Enemy
Enemy of the State.
And it's
Enemy
kind of
Minds was Lou Gossett and Kevin Costner.
It's kind of a second part to it in a way to the conversation. It's another movie
So
from
if
the 70s.
Enemy of the
Anyway,
State was doing weird stuff like that, and I was like, golly, can the government really do that? Well, I feel like they can. They're reading my mind.
You think Will Smith's one of the best actors of all time?
I love Will Smith.
I do too.
Yeah. And he, so full disclosure, since we're just dumping this morning,
Back into the dump.
Jada Pinkett Smith was probably my first high school crush.
Well, don't make me smack you now.
Da-dum-dum. And on that note, sorry,
man.
Will.
Oh, man. Plenty of great sporting events happening this coming week. Of course, tonight, Monday Night Football. Do you even know who it is?
Yeah, it's the Steelers and Colts. You nuts?
Steelers, Colts. You can catch that game at Hail Varsity Club.
Tomlin and Saturday, baby.
Full disclosure, did not know who was Monday Night Football this week. And if you are looking for maybe some deals while you're at Hail Varsity Club, well, make sure to sign up for Hail Varsity, the magazine and online platform for all things news regarding Husker sports. Get that now. You'll get perks at the restaurant, and you'll get a perk when you sign up with this promo code, AR for monthly, and this promo code, DB for yearly. That's Morning Dump. Wipe, get on with your day. We'll see you tomorrow morning on Coffee and Cream.